What happens when a Hollywood icon walks onto a daytime talk show expecting lighthearted banter, and instead finds herself staring into a storm she never saw coming? What happens when a smiling host pushes one question too far, crossing an invisible line that even the cameras couldn't hide? Before we dive into this shocking moment, make sure you subscribe to Stage View, hit the like button, and drop a comment the moment something grabs you. Because trust me, this story will. The air inside the studio was unusually heavy that morning, as though something unspoken had already filled the room before the cameras even switched on. Scarlett Johansson stepped onto the set of The View with her signature polished calm. A soft smile, a poised wave to the audience, her blonde hair falling effortlessly over her shoulder. She carried the presence of someone used to press tours, used to interviews, used to navigating the unpredictable waters of daytime television. But today was different. Even before she took her seat, she sensed it, a tension humming beneath the laughter and applause. The audience was excited, almost buzzing. The hosts were gathered around the table, exchanging quick whispers. And Joy Behar, leaning back in her chair, wore a look Scarlett couldn't quite read. It wasn't hostile, not exactly, but it was sharp, curious, a little too eager. Scarlett sat down, adjusting the lapel of her blazer. She folded her hands neatly, the way she always did during interviews, grounding herself in familiar posture. Scarlett Johansson is here, Whoopi announced with exaggerated enthusiasm, and the crowd erupted again. Scarlett smiled, nodding graciously, but her eyes flicked to Joy, who hadn't said a word yet. The segment started smoothly enough. Questions about her new film, about motherhood, about balancing work and family. Scarlett answered with warmth, humor, and her usual thoughtful charm. Everything flowed easily as cameras glided smoothly across the panel, capturing every angle. Then Joy leaned forward. "So," she began, her voice deceptively light. "Scarlett, we hear a lot about your films, your activism, your family, but I've always wondered." Scarlett felt it, the shift. A sharp, cold little click deep in her chest. "Do you ever feel like you're hiding something from the public?" The audience murmured. The hosts exchanged glances. Scarlett blinked, confused. "Hiding something?" she repeated. Joy smirked, tapping her cue cards. "Oh, little details about your past relationships, behind-the-scenes feuds, rumors about certain disagreements." The room tightened. Even the cameras seemed to zoom closer. Scarlett's breath hitched, barely noticeable unless you were looking for it. She kept her voice calm. "Joy, I'm not sure what you're referring to." Joy raised her eyebrows slowly, theatrically. "Come on, Scarlett. The stories that follow you. The ones people talk about online. I mean, it's not all sunshine and red carpets, right?" A ripple of discomfort ran through the audience. Scarlett's smile faltered. Whoopi shifted in her seat. "Joy." But Joy held up a hand. "I'm just asking questions. Isn't that what we do here?" Scarlett looked down, her eyelashes trembling for a moment before she blinked the feeling away. She felt suddenly exposed, spotlit in a way she hadn't agreed to. She'd been on hundreds of talk shows, faced dozens of invasive questions, but there was something different about the way Joy framed it. Accusatory, almost taunting. Scarlett inhaled deeply. "I share what I'm comfortable sharing," she said softly. "Everyone has boundaries." Joy nodded, leaning back, but her eyes remained fixed on Scarlett, sharp and unrelenting. "Boundaries," she echoed. "Interesting." The audience's reaction was mixed, laughter from some, gasps from others. A few people whispered urgently to their neighbors. Scarlett's heart thudded in her chest. Something was wrong. Something was coming. She could feel it, creeping toward her like a shadow. And the cameras kept rolling. Scarlett shifted in her chair, her fingers curling tightly in her lap as she tried to steady her breathing. She could hear the faint squeak of the camera crane as it moved in closer, as if sensing that the moment was turning volatile. The studio lights above shimmered hot, almost too bright. Her mouth had gone dry. She'd been warned before the show that Joy Behar was in one of her probing moods, but nothing had prepared her for the tension building now. A slow, sharp pressure that seemed to crawl from the host's end of the table directly toward her. "Joy," Sonny cut in gently, "maybe we should." No. Let's let her answer," Joy insisted, lifting her chin. "I'm just curious what she thinks." Scarlett swallowed, working to maintain her composure. "I think," she said carefully, "that I've always been open with my fans, but everyone deserves privacy." Joy tapped her pen against the table. "Privacy," she said. "Sure. But don't you think being a public figure means you owe some honesty? Especially when the public feels misled. Misled. The word struck Scarlett like a slap. The audience reacted instantly. A wave of shocked murmurs rolled through the seating area. A few people shifted uncomfortably, glancing at each other, unsure of whether they were witnessing real conflict or just heightened daytime drama. Scarlett tilted her head. Misled how? She asked, trying to keep the tremor out of her voice. Joy leaned forward again, elbows on the table, hands clasped. Well, for example, that whole controversy last year about your comments. Some people online felt like you dodged accountability. Scarlett froze. That topic had blown over months ago. She'd apologized, clarified, explained. She had never expected it to be dragged out again on live TV. Whoopi exhaled sharply. Oh, Joy, come on. No, Joy said, refusing to back down, her eyes burning with something that didn't feel like journalistic curiosity anymore. People deserve clarity. Scarlett looked down, feeling her stomach twist. Her voice dropped. I talked about that already. I thought we'd moved forward. Joy shrugged, a cold little gesture. A lot of people didn't buy it. Scarlett's chest tightened. Her pulse thudded in her ears. She wasn't angry, not yet. She was hurt, blindsided. She had come here to talk about her film, her craft, not to be cornered, not to be accused. Sunny stepped in again, sensing the emotional strain. Scarlett, you don't have to. But Joy cut her off once more. You know what? Let's just be real, she said, turning back to Scarlett. Do you think the public has a right to question your sincerity? Scarlett looked up slowly. Her eyes glistened, not with tears yet, but with the unmistakable sheen of someone fighting to stay composed. I think, she whispered, that the public deserves kindness as much as I do. A few audience members gasped. One woman in the front row pressed her hand to her chest. Joy hesitated for the first time, just for a second, as though she hadn't expected Scarlett to be this vulnerable. But the hesitation vanished quickly, replaced by a smirking bravado. Well, Joy said, that's one way to dodge the question. Scarlett's face broke. Not fully, not dramatically, but something in her expression cracked open. Her eyebrows drew together, her lips parted slightly, and her eyes shimmered with something raw and unmistakable. Pain. Real human pain. The studio fell silent. Even the sound crew seemed to freeze. Scarlett inhaled shakily, blinking rapidly. She wasn't going to cry, she couldn't. Not here. Not in front of millions. Not over this. But her voice wavered as she spoke. Joy, I'm not here to be attacked. The words hung in the air like smoke. Joy opened her mouth, but for once she had no quick retort. Scarlett looked at the audience, then around at the hosts, then back down at her trembling hands. She exhaled a long, unsteady breath. I came here in good faith, she continued. To talk. To connect. And I'm doing my best to answer honestly. But this feels unfair. Her voice cracked. The audience reacted instantly. A chorus of sympathetic murmurs, a few boos aimed at Joy, and even a shouted, "Let her speak," from somewhere in the back. Scarlett pressed her lips together, trying to regain control. But the moment had already shifted. Something irreversible had been set in motion. The empathy of the audience. The sudden discomfort among the hosts. The fragile emotional barrier inside Scarlett Johansson that was beginning, just beginning to break. Scarlett took a long, trembling breath, her gaze fixed on the table as though she might find stability in the smooth, polished wood. The air felt thick, as if the room itself was holding its breath, waiting for someone, anyone, to break the unbearable tension. Joy leaned back, her expression unreadable now. The earlier confidence had slipped, replaced by something less certain. Hesitation, maybe, or the dawning realization that she had gone too far. But the damage had already been done. Scarlett lifted her head slowly, taking in the faces around her. Whoopi's frown, Sunny's concern, Sarah's uneasy silence, and Joy, still sitting with that uncomfortable mix of defiance and doubt swirling in her eyes. I'm trying, Scarlett said softly, her voice threaded with emotion. I really am. Whoopi finally stepped in. Okay, everybody needs to take a breath, she said, placing a grounding hand on the table. We didn't bring Scarlett out here to ambush her. Joy didn't look away. I wasn't ambushing her. Sunny interjected gently. Intent aside, the impact is clear. Scarlett blinked hard as a tear welled against her will. She caught it with a quick swipe. But even that small gesture sent a visible ripple through the audience. A wave of sympathetic murmurs washed across the studio. You know, Scarlett said, her voice cracking again, I've spent years trying to be strong in these spaces. Interviews, press, public appearances. You build armor. You get used to smiling through anything. She paused, swallowing the tightening lump in her throat. But I'm human, and sometimes words hit deeper than you think. The audience clapped gently, not applause but encouragement. Support. A collective voice saying, we see you. We understand. Joy shifted, her jaw tightening. Scarlett, I wasn't trying to hurt you. To you it's a question, Scarlett whispered. To me it's everything I've been trying to move past. That landed like a weight in the center of the table. Joy's expression softened, genuinely this time. She leaned forward slightly, not aggressive now, but cautious. I didn't realize that. Scarlett exhaled shakily. Most people don't. Silence. Then Joy said very quietly, I'm sorry. The words weren't dramatic. They weren't performative. They came out soft and conflicted, like she was wrestling with herself as she spoke them. But they were real. A murmur spread across the room. Surprise, relief, curiosity. Scarlett looked up, meeting Joy's eyes. Her own were shimmering, but steadier now. Thank you, she whispered. Whoopi gestured to the crew to keep rolling. The authenticity of the moment too raw, too powerful to cut away from. Scarlett sat back slightly, still breathing unevenly, but calmer than before. I just want people to see me as more than the rumors. More than mistakes. More than headlines. You're allowed that, Sunny said softly. We all are. The audience clapped again, louder this time. But the emotional weight hadn't lifted completely. There was still something lingering, something fragile and exposed. Scarlett looked down again, tears pooling despite her efforts to hold them back. I think sometimes, she said, her voice barely above a whisper, people forget that no matter how famous you are, you can still break. And then it happened. A tear fell, slow, heavy, unstoppable, sliding down her cheek and catching the light of the studio in a tiny glimmer before disappearing into the lapel of her jacket. The audience gasped. Some hosts froze. Joy's eyes widened, regret now unmistakable. Scarlett covered her mouth with her hand for a moment, taking a breath that shuddered through her entire body. I'm sorry, she whispered, even though she didn't need to apologize for feeling anything at all. Sunny leaned closer. Scarlett, you don't have to be sorry. But Scarlett shook her head. I didn't expect to get emotional today. Joy finally spoke again, quieter than ever before. I didn't expect to make you emotional. Scarlett looked up, offering a shaky smile that was half forgiveness, half exhaustion. It's been a long year. Sarah gently placed a hand on Scarlett's arm. We hear you. And for a moment, the entire set felt suspended, as if time had slowed just enough to capture the rawness of the moment forever. The vulnerability, the remorse, the emotional collision that none of them had planned for. Then the director's voice echoed softly from off-camera. We're still rolling. And the moment became immortal. The studio was quieter now, in that strange, electric way that follows emotional upheaval. Scarlett wiped her face gently with a tissue handed to her by a stage assistant, whispering a quiet thank you. The audience watched her with reverent silence. No whispers, no scattered reactions this time. Just stillness. The hosts allowed her a moment. Not because the cameras demanded it, but because the atmosphere had transformed into something intimate, almost sacred. Scarlett had given them a piece of her humanity, and none of them wanted to trample it. Finally, Whoopi leaned in, her voice low and grounding. Scarlett, thank you for being honest with us today. For being real. Scarlett inhaled, composing herself. I didn't plan to break down, she said with a soft laugh that trembled at the edges. But maybe I needed to. Joy looked at her, and the guilt was unmistakable. Scarlett, she said quietly, I'm sorry for pushing you. I truly am. Scarlett nodded. I know, and I forgive you. I just want people to understand that I'm trying my best. You showed that today, Sunny said warmly. The audience erupted in a gentle, supportive round of applause. The segment wrapped shortly after, with a few lighthearted questions added near the end. The producer scrambling behind the scenes to soften the intensity, to help Scarlett leave on a steadier note. They thanked her, they hugged her, they walked her off stage with careful hands on her shoulders. But the moment, the breakdown, the confrontation, it didn't stay on that stage. Within minutes, the internet erupted. Clips flooded social media. Scarlett Johansson cries on The View. Joy Behar goes too far again? Fans defend Scarlett after emotional moment. Raw, honest, unfiltered, Scarlett shows her humanity. Millions of views. Millions of comments. Endless debates. Some praised Scarlett for opening up, calling her bravery inspiring. Others criticized Joy harshly, demanding accountability from the show. Hashtags surged, threads exploded, and reaction videos multiplied. But through all the noise, one truth cut through. People saw Scarlett differently now. Not as the flawless Hollywood superstar. Not as the tightly composed press-trained figure. But as a human being with scars, exhaustion, and limits. And the world listened. Audiences applauded her vulnerability. Fans expressed overwhelming support. Even journalists praised her authenticity. It became a cultural moment. One of those rare times when the curtain lifts and a celebrity's real emotions pour through, unfiltered and undeniable. As for Joy Behar, the fallout found her too. Critics resurfaced old clips, questioning her approach with guests. Others defended her, calling it part of the job. The View released a public statement thanking Scarlett for her honesty and acknowledging the intensity of the moment. But the moment belonged to Scarlett. Her pain, her strength, her humanity. As the dust settled, one question echoed across social media. Was Joy out of line? Or did the confrontation reveal something deeper about how we treat public figures? And now the question passes to you. What do you think? Did Joy Behar cross the line? Was Scarlett pushed too far? Or was this emotional moment something that needed to happen? Tell us your thoughts in the comments. We read everything. And if you want more explosive Hollywood moments, more shocking confrontations, more raw and cinematic storytelling, make sure you subscribe to Stage View and hit that notification bell so you never miss a story. Because trust me, more drama is on the way.